My sister got the house, I got $1. So I built an empire and let them all drown in their debt. Across from me sat Amanda, my 28-year-old sister, cradling a glass of champagne. She wore a smug smile, the kind that suggested she'd won a game only she was playing. I hesitated, my palms damp with unease. My father leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, eyes heavy with that familiar mix of boredom and superiority. Something fell off. I opened the box. Inside was a brown leather wallet, cheap and unremarkable. Carefully folded within was a single-dollar bill. I looked up bewildered. Is this a joke? Amanda laughed. It's symbolic. Dad nodded. That's more than you'll ever need. You've never cared much about money, right? I blinked, trying to process. You gave Amanda the house, the savings, the lake property, and I get $1? Amanda took a slow sip of her drink. Don't be dramatic. You've always been the independent one. Yeah, Mom chimed in. Amanda was here. She took care of us after your surgery, paid the bills when things got hard. I nearly choked. I sent money every month. I covered Dad's hospital stay when your insurance didn't. I paid Amanda's rent for 2 years when she was between jobs. Don't be petty, Mom snapped. We made our decision. That's that. For a moment, I just sat there, staring at them, trying to decide whether this was some sort of social experiment or if they genuinely believed their own fiction. Amanda, the golden child. Me, the disposable one. It had always been that way. But this time it hit differently. This wasn't just favoritism. This was a razor. I stood up, took the wallet, and shoved it into my coat pocket. I hope it buys you the peace of mind you've never given me, I said. My mom sighed, as if I were the ungrateful one. Amanda rolled her eyes. I left. No one stopped me. Not even a whisper of wait. It took me years. Years of grinding in silence, of 20-hour days and lukewarm ramen dinners. I said no to every tiny indulgence, every distraction, every escape. While others lived, I survived. But in year 5, something shifted. My startup caught fire, viral overnight. 6 months later, I wasn't scraping by anymore. I was a millionaire. That's when the messages started. Hey stranger, Amanda texted. Hope you're doing well, said Mom, like we were long-lost friends. Dad didn't text, but a missed call from his number told me everything I needed to know. I ignored them all, until last week. Just once, I picked up, curious to hear what they'd say. You're doing well now, my mother said softly, like she hadn't handed me $1 and called a gift. We were wondering if you could help us with something. Things have been difficult lately. I didn't answer. Silence was the only power I had left. Then she added, You've always wanted to prove you're good enough. Just like that, the wound reopened. But this time, I didn't bleed. Instead, I smiled. You're still not good enough, she said when I didn't immediately agree. I leaned back in my chair, took a slow, measured breath, and said, Then let Amanda handle your debt. Then I hung up. No hesitation. No apology. But that wasn't even the real twist. Because 2 hours later, Amanda showed up at my office unannounced. And what she said next changed everything. You'd think a single dollar in a wallet would be the cruelest part of this story. It wasn't. The real cruelty? It had always been there, quiet, deliberate, wrapped in fake smiles and guilt trips dressed up as family values. Amanda was the princess. Blonde curls, ballet recitals, trophies she didn't even win that still ended up on the shelf. So guests could marvel at our gifted daughter. Me? I was the average kid. Average grades. Started working at 15. No photos of me in the hallway. No applause. But I didn't complain. I hustled through college on scholarships and vending machine dinners. Got my first job in tech straight after graduation. I sent money home that same month. Just until we pay off the medical debt, Dad had said. I believed him. I always did. Then Amanda flunked out of business school. Twice. Guess who paid off her loans? She's just lost right now. Mom sobbed on the phone. Can you cover it? Please? You're her brother. Lost. She was in Miami, partying with a guy named Troy, while I skipped meals to meet deadlines. But I still sent the check. When Amanda turned 30 and launched her brand, Mom threw her a surprise party. I paid for the catering. Amanda gave a heartfelt speech about how real family always stands by you. She never looked at me once. So no, the inheritance drama wasn't shocking. It was just the final stamp on a lifelong pattern. Amanda was always the investment. I was always the one expected to fund it. But nothing prepared me for last week when Amanda showed up at my office. She looked different, nervous. Her hair pulled back, face bare, expensive heels scuffed and worn. I need to talk to you, she said, slipping in before I could say no. I stared at her. You finally show up after 5 years, and you don't even say hello? She sat like she owned the chair. They're drowning. Mom and Dad. Dad's gambling again. Mom maxed out a second credit card. They thought I could handle it because of the inheritance. But it's gone. I froze. Gone? What do you mean gone? She didn't blink. They pressured me into giving it back. Bit by bit. Covering the mortgage. I thought I could flip the rest with some crypto guy. I laughed. Loudly. You gave away the family fortune to a crypto clown? It's not funny, she snapped. Oh, it's hilarious, I said. Because I warned you. I warned all of you when you laughed at that wallet. She leaned forward, voice shaking. They need help. Real help. Ask your crypto guy. I'm asking you. I stood up. Why? Because I'm rich now. Because you've always been the reliable one, she said flat. No, I replied. I was always the useful one. There's a difference. She didn't even flinch. Fine. Be cold. But know this, if you don't help, everything falls apart. The house, the pension, it's already gone. Mom's on something. They'll lose everything. I stared at her, heart pounding. You didn't come here for them, I said. You came for yourself. Because when they go down, you go with them. And then she said the line that snapped the last fragile thread inside me. You owe us this. We raised you. I stepped closer, voice razor sharp. You raised me to be your emergency fund. But I'm not your savings account anymore. She opened her mouth to reply, but I cut her off. You sat there while they handed me $1 and said nothing. You called me bitter when I stopped giving. You posted vacation pics with hashtags like #FamilyFirst while I was eating instant noodles to keep your lights on. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't care. As she stood to leave, she turned, looked me dead in the eye, and whispered, If you think this is over, you're wrong. They have a plan, and you're not going to like it. Then she walked out, heels clicking like a warning shot. And I knew. This wasn't guilt anymore. It was war. 3 days later it arrived. A plain white envelope. No return address. My name written in Amanda's handwriting. The same looping letters she used to forge our mom's signature on sick notes back in high school. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A notice of claim. Apparently, my parents were suing me. Failure to fulfill implicit financial obligations to immediate family. Emotional damages from abandonment. I nearly dropped my coffee. I called my lawyer. Yes, I have one now. He read it and laughed out loud. This is nonsense, he said. They've got no legal ground to stand on. Tell that to my ulcer, I muttered. I wanted to pretend it didn't bother me. That I was untouchable now, above their games. But it did bother me. It dug under my skin in a way that even that cursed dollar bill never had. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about control. It had always been about control. I didn't respond. So they escalated. Amanda went online, posted a carousel of old childhood photos. The caption? The brother who abandoned us after getting rich. Hundreds of comments flooded in. You're so strong, Amanda. Family betrayal is the worst. Greed changes people. No one asked how her strong self managed to blow through $300,000 in crypto scams. I kept my head down, tried to stay focused. But one day, my assistant buzzed my office. There's someone here to see you, she said, her voice tight. It's your mother. I should have said no. Should have walked out the back door. But curiosity? It's a dangerous thing. So I stayed. She walked in like she owned the place. Pearls around her neck, beige cardigan, not a hair out of place. But her face? It was different now. Hollow. Panicked. You look thin, she said, like we were catching up over brunch. I didn't reply. She sat down uninvited, like she had every right to be there. Your sister's struggling, she began, like the lawsuit and smear campaign weren't still spinning in the background. We're all struggling. Your father, she hesitated. Gambling not going well. I asked cold. She flinched. Don't be cruel. I came here to fix this. I stood, then dropped the lawsuit. Apologize. Admit what you've done. She looked at me like I'd spoken a different language. We don't owe you an apology, she said, incredulous. You were always different. Ungrateful. Cold. I leaned on my desk, voice steady. I paid your mortgage. I sent money while you told the neighbors I was a dropout who never visited. I carried this family. And you handed me $1 and called it symbolic. She stood too, voice rising. Because money doesn't matter to you. You act like it does now, but deep down, you still want our approval. And that was the final punch. Because in some quiet, hidden place inside me, she was right. Somewhere, the child I used to be still wanted a simple, we're proud of you. From the people who gave Amanda the house and handed me pity. But not anymore. No, I said, I don't want your approval. I want freedom. And the only way I get it is by cutting you off for good. Her face twisted. But what she said next sealed it. You'll never be one of us. You never belonged. I nodded slowly. Then let Amanda handle your debt. And I walk her out. No who. No will. Just a sharp click of the door closing behind her. But the real explosion? It didn't come in person. It came later that night. Amanda went live on Instagram. Her face tear-streaked, her voice cracking with carefully crafted heartbreak. He disowned us, she sobbed. After everything we did for him, we're family. You don't give up on family. The comments section lit up. You deserve better. He's a monster. Cut him off, queen. I closed the app. Let them scream into the void. Let them paint me as the villain. Better that than be the fool who keeps paying for the fire that's burning him alive. But the next morning, I woke to a voicemail. A name I hadn't seen on my screen in over a decade. Uncle Dean, my dad's brother, the family black sheep, the one they always whispered about, the selfish one who left the family business, packed up his life, and moved across the country. His message was simple. Saw Amanda's meltdown. Just wanted to say, I've been there. If you ever want to talk, give me a call. Proud of you, kid. I stared at the screen for a long time, because maybe, just maybe, this wasn't about burning bridges. Maybe this was about building new ones. After everything, the lawsuit, the public smear campaign, Amanda's office ambush, it all just stopped. No more Instagram lives. No cryptic Facebook posts. No anonymous blogs throwing shade at the successful son who forgot his roots. Even Amanda disappeared. Her account? Deleted. Her phone? Disconnected. The noise? Gone. But I wasn't naive. This wasn't peace. It was strategy. A regrouping. A pulling back before the next strike. And yet something shifted. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I woke up without that tight knot in my chest. No what guilt trip is waiting today. No urgent messages pretending to be reconciliation attempts. I sipped coffee in my kitchen. My kitchen, not counting pennies, not calculating what I could afford to send this month. My startup was thriving. My team was growing. For once, I wasn't someone's lifeline. And for a moment, just a moment, I thought, maybe I actually won. But in this family, victory always came with consequences. A week later, Sarah, my new attorney, walked into my office. She didn't say hello. She just tossed a file onto my desk. We've got a situation, she said. I opened it. Amanda had filed a second claim. This time, emotional damages. From me. And she wasn't alone. She had my parents backing her up again. I laughed. Emotional damages? She doesn't even have emotions unless there's a camera involved. Sarah didn't laugh. They're going public, she said. And this time, they're playing dirty. I raised an eyebrow. What did she call the filing? Sarah didn't blink. You manipulated our elderly parents into poverty. I sat back, stunned. This wasn't just petty. This was warfare. It began with an anonymous interview on some bottom-of-the-barrel YouTube tabloid channel. A woman in shadows. Voice distorted. But anyone with a functioning memory could tell. It was Amanda. My brother. He was always cold. Vindictive. Success made it worse. He made Mom give up her pension. Forced Dad to sell everything. Left us with nothing. The comments poured in. So heartbreaking. Greed destroys families. Amanda is so brave. I could have stayed quiet. Let them have their fantasy. But then the call came. From a nursing home administrator. Apparently, my mother had tried to forge my signature. She told them she had permission to transfer some of my assets into a family trust. And they had approved it. They weren't just after money anymore. They wanted everything. My future. My name. My control. So I did the one thing Amanda never saw coming. I went public. No more silence. No more quiet dignity. I told everything. Live. On a financial podcast. No scripts. No filters. I told them about the wallet. About the single-dollar bill they called symbolic. About paying off my father's hospital stay while Amanda posted mimosa selfies from Miami. About covering the mortgage, the credit cards, the catering for Amanda's birthday party, while I skipped meals just to keep the lights on. About the inheritance. The crypto clown. The lawsuits. About realizing that I wasn't a son or a brother to them. I was a contingency plan. A backup wallet they could break open when the golden child messed up again. The clip hit 1.3 million views in under 24 hours. And just like that, the narrative flipped. This guy's not a monster. He's a survivor. He doesn't owe them anything. They owe him. This is generational manipulation. And he broke the chain. Amanda tried to clap back. A long, whiny Facebook post. Crying selfies. Childhood photos with captions like, I always loved my brother. But success changed him. I didn't feel anger. Just indifference. And maybe even pity. Because someone who thinks the world owes them something, they live in constant fear of not getting it. But me? For the first time in my life, I felt free. It came late. Not a storm. Not an attack. Just a single call from the last person I ever expected. My father. The man who rarely spoke unless it was to quote baseball stats or critique my tone. His voice was thin, tired, smaller than I remembered. I didn't know what they were planning, he said. I'm old now. I didn't see how wrong we were. He paused. Your mom doesn't know I'm calling, he added quickly. But I saw your interview. I cried. Not because you exposed us, but because I realized his voice cracked. We never really saw you. Silence filled the line. Maybe he meant it. Maybe he was just worn down and looking for some last scrap of redemption. But I'd already spent too many years trying to make broken people whole. So I said what needed saying. I forgive you. Then I paused. But I'm not coming back. This wasn't just the end of family fight. It was the end of a cycle. A generational pattern that wrapped itself in duty, guilt, and silent expectations. Then handed you $1 and called it love. And I wasn't part of it anymore. 6 months. That's how long the silence lasted. No sots. No gidrenchid boythemes. No more crocodile tears on camera. Amanda vanished from social media. Mom stopped posting those over-filtered brunch photos with captions like #family-over-everything. The machine, it finally ran out of fuel. And for the first time in my entire life, I wasn't bracing for the next explosion. I slept. Really slept. No midnights baitas. No guilt gnawing at the edges of my chest like some phantom weight. My therapist called it post-traumatic clarity. I called it freedom. I started spending money, not to rescue anyone, but on things I'd always told myself were luxuries I didn't deserve. A decent mattress, quality hiking gear, a music production setup I used to dream about as a kid, back when dreaming felt selfish. One Saturday afternoon, I found myself at a quiet cafe, the kind with overpriced lattes and succulents on every table. I was flipping through emails when a voice broke through behind me. Hey, I wasn't sure it was you. I turned. Emily, my cousin, daughter of my mom's estranged sister. We hadn't spoken in over a decade. She sat down without asking, clutching a matcha latte like it was armor. Sorry, she said. I saw your interview. The one about the inheritance and everything. The whole family talked about it for weeks. I braced myself. Let me guess, I said. They think I'm heartless. She shook her head. Actually, most of them said it was about time someone finally said it. I blinked. You're kidding. Nope. You weren't the only one they squeezed. You know, my mom co-signed a loan for Amanda once. Amanda defaulted. Grandma had to cover it to avoid losing her retirement. No one talks about that. But we all watched you burn and thought better him than us. You still there. And that's when it hit me. I hadn't just been the scapegoat. I'd been the firewall. The one expected to absorb every hit. Every guilt trip. Every just this once. So, why are you telling me this now? I asked. Emily gave a sad smile. Because I saw you walk away. And I thought, maybe I can too. She left before I could say more. But something in me shifted. A week later, I was back in my apartment. The framed dollar bill still hung on the wall in my office. Right next to a quote my therapist once told me. Real love doesn't invoice you. That's when my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. No contact name. Just a text. Mom's in assisted living now. Amanda's staying at the lake house. Dad's pension is gone. Thought you want to know. No signature. But I didn't need one. It was bait. One last cast of the net. One last see what you've done. I didn't reply. I just looked around my apartment. The vinyl records stacked by the window. My dog snoring on the couch. The mug on my desk that read, I am not your backup plan. And I smiled. Let them drown in the mess they built. I was never their flotation device. A few months later, I got invited to speak at a tech conference. Panel topic? Burnout, boundaries, and the myth of family loyalty. At first, I almost said no. I didn't think I had anything left to say. But then I thought about that kid I used to be. The one living off vending machine dinners. The one who said yes to every ask, every time, because family meant obligation. The one who believed love had to be earned. He deserved to speak. So I did. I told the whole story, from $1 in the wallet to the courtrooms and the crypto disaster. Not as a victim, but as someone who broke the cycle. After the panel, a young guy, maybe early 20s, came up to me. He didn't say much, just handed me a sticky note. It said, thank you. I thought I was the only one. And that was the real inheritance. Not the house, not the lake, not the savings Amanda fed to a crypto fantasy. It was this. The moment I realized, breaking the cycle doesn't make you cruel. It makes you free. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more real-life family dramas. Let me know in the comments what you think about today's story. Was it fair or totally messed up? See you in the next one.